Audiophiles, if you had $1,199 and 99 cents to spare, what could you buy? You could buy a DAC. You could buy the Musician Pegasus III. And today, for your viewing and listening pleasure, I have one. Let's not mess around. Let's unbox it. So what is the Musician Pegasus III? Well, it's a DAC. I said that already. And it's the follow-up to the Pegasus II and the original Pegasus. Presumably they didn't call the original the Pegasus I because potential buyers might have put off their purchase in case a II came along, which it did. I have to say that I have no familiarity with the original or the II, so I'm going to consider the Pegasus III on its own merits. I'm sure you'll find plenty of information on the original and the II in the usual places. Anyway, it's a DAC. Nothing so unusual about that. I've reviewed a bunch of DACs in my channel. So what's different here? Well, and this is surprising even to me. It's a DAC. A DAC! It isn't a DAC/headphone amp. Shock horror! No headphone jack at all. This puts the Pegasus III in a different class right away. One, because it doesn't have a headphone amp, and two, because you'll have to buy a headphone amp if you listen on headphones. And considering that the Pegasus III costs nearly $1,200, the price I see today from Ayoshida Audio, who supplied this item to me, well, you'll need a headphone amp that's in the same class, if you're a proper audiophile. Possibly the Musician, same brand, Andromeda for just $869.99 USD. Again, the price I see today. So your budget is now $2,070 USD with 2 cents change. Personally, I'd be dreaming. In a way, though, this is good. The easy way would be to buy a DAC which has a headphone amp, and you're all done and dusted. But back in the glory days of hi-fi, commenters may have their opinions on when actually they were. The whole point of having separates rather than any kind of all-in-one system was that you could pick and choose which component went with which to optimize your setup to your own requirements. And the Pegasus III effectively forces you to do this. The easy choice of the Musician Andromeda, or maybe something more exotic, maybe a Felix Audio Envy from €6,999. Your hi-fi chums will definitely envy you with one of those. Or listen on speakers. I've featured loads of DACs in my channel, so there must be something special about the Musician Pegasus III to make me want to review it. And there is. It's R2R. R2R, as you might have noticed, is all the rage at the moment. I covered the theory of R2R in a previous video, which I'll link in the description. The gist is, though, that compared to the, some would say, more sophisticated and certainly more common Delta Sigma DAC, R2R gets you closer to the digits. In a way, even a normal person, considering myself a normal person for the sake of argument, can understand. Check my other video for the details and diagrams. How close you want to get is a choice. All the R2R DACs I've featured so far offer the choice of oversampling mode or non-oversampling. Theory has it that oversampling is so much better, but enthusiasts who, as I said, want to get closer to the digits, the raw digits and their proverbial stair steps, they will surely prefer non-oversampling. Us versus NOS. By the way, I keep saying R2R as though the 2 stands for 2. It's more like R-2R because the resistor ladder uses a combination of resistors of value R together with resistors of value 2R. Oh well, I'll stick with R2R. It's easier. Let's get practical for a moment. Here's what you'll see on the back of the Pegasus 3. It doesn't show all that well in mere images, but when you have one of your own, you will see and feel the quality you'd expect for $1,200. On the input side, we find coaxial, optical, AES or AES EBU, as we like to call it in Europe. The USB and I2S inputs go up to DSD 1024. I'm sure this is great for those who use it. I'm a PCM guy myself, one of life's choices. As for PCM, all inputs go up to 24-bit 192 kHz, the USB and I2S up to 768. It all checks out spec-wise. I did say I was reading the manual. The online marketing says that USB and I2S go up to PCM 1536 kHz. Oh, I2S, I2S. Again, this would be a whole video, but it's there for those who imagine it's a good thing. On the output, we have RCA as you would expect, and XLR for professionals like me. You'll be hearing output from them later. It's a small point, but musicians' marketing materials state that you shouldn't use the RCAs and XLRs simultaneously. I'm not sure why anyone would want to, but anyway, you can't. Amazon will sell you whatever splitters you need. I'll say again that the Pegasus 3 has a very high-quality look and feel, but I have to moan and groan just a bit. I'm an old guy, as you can see, as are many of my viewers, many hi-fi enthusiasts and audiophiles, not forgetting the old lady enthusiasts too. The print is tiny and basically slightly darker grey on slightly lighter grey. Now, I'm grateful at my age that I can see the tiniest leaf on the furthest tree unaided. But my eyes don't focus at all anymore, and the print on the Pegasus 3 is ridiculously small and difficult. This is my opinion, commenters may differ, but I really need to say it as it affects me. I'd say similar about the tiny indicator LEDs. Really, do they have to be this small? Rant over. Now, let's see what we can do with this thing. Some of the LEDs are indicators to tell you what's coming in. It's a bit odd at first that only 44.1 and 48 are shown, but the bottom row of lights shows the multiplier. So 48 times 8 would be 384. Hang on, the manual says the unit goes up to 768. Well, I don't have a source for 768, so we'll all just have to wonder. The input selection LEDs are obvious in their function. That leaves us with swap, filter, phase and OS/NOS. The fun part. Quickly, swap swaps the channels in DSD mode. The question why springs to mind, but hey, I've no way to test it. Phase inverts the phase, presumably for those who think they can hear the difference. I did test it with a pulse waveform just to check it doesn't invert one channel, which is a useful trick on occasion. But no, it inverts both. Honestly, I'm coming on to the audio demonstrations soon, but I have to mention the filter option, which I think is a key feature of any R2R DAC working in OS mode. Let's not get too technical. The whole point of having an R2R DAC is to hear the inherent texture of digital recording. If you want smooth, clean, clear, then you'll go Delta Sigma. But as I said, R2R gets you closer to the digits. But those digits you're playing from your computer, streamer, CD player, or whatever source contain a whole load of stuff that is not good, clean audio. Mirrored copies of the audio sitting above half the sampling frequency. So everything above half the sampling frequency needs to be filtered out. The question is, do you want a steep filter to be sure everything is gone, or a more gentle filter that might leave some gunk behind, potentially audible to those who have good high-frequency hearing ability? The Pegasus 3 offers both in digital form, fast and slow in their terminology. Fast and slow, according to my researches, work in OS mode. NOS mode just gets a fixed analog reconstruction filter. Again, I'm trying not to be too technical. According to my research, which is basically the manual and marketing materials, then when you're in non-oversampling NOS mode, the Pegasus is working at the base sampling rate. So in 44.1, there's an analog filter that does its best to get rid of everything above 22.05. But if you want a cleaner sound, more akin to Delta Sigma, then you can choose OS, oversampling mode. This resamples the digital signal at a higher frequency, making the digital filter's job easy, fast or slow as you prefer. It's the best of both worlds, really. A textured sound or a clean sound. If, of course, you have the ears to hear the difference. Which at my advanced age, I'm really not all that sure I do. Going forward into the demonstration, I'm going to use NOS mode, because it's the biggest differentiator between R2R and Delta Sigma. Coming up to the audio demonstration, here's a funny thing. I was advised by my contact at Ayoshida Audio, who provided the item, that I should burn in the Pegasus 3 for a week. That's 168 hours continuous. I was also reminded several days later, just to be sure. Now, if you're foolish enough to go on the internet looking for chatter on burning in, I can tell you that you'll find plenty. For me, I'll stay neutral at this point and do as I'm told. Commenters, please offer your opinions, as I'm sure to make a video on burning in at some point in the future. Anyway, what I did was hook up my best CD player, well, it's my most expensive CD player, if that means anything, through the optical input to the Pegasus 3. So here we see them, crouched in a corner. The Pegasus 3, driven by the Project Audio Systems CD Box RS2 tube. Online chatter comes in a range of opinions what the source audio material for burn-in should be. I gave this a good think and decided to use the material I'm going to feature a clip of in the demonstration, which I've edited from a recording I made many years ago of Ariel Ramirez and his orchestra at London's Royal Festival Hall. One of the features of the CD copy I made is that it goes all the way up to 0 dBFS, so it's going to exercise all of the resistors in the R2R ladder. As I said, your comments on burning in will be welcome. At last! Although maybe you skipped ahead. I made a demonstration of NOS versus OS in a previous R2R review, linked in the description. So what I fancied this time was to compare pre-burn-in to post-burn-in, specifically because I've never bothered burning anything in before, considering that a few weeks or months of use would do that anyway. But let's see. I'm in NOS mode. Sadly, I have to tell you that you might not learn anything. The reason being that any demonstration I make has to be analog to digital converted, simply to get it onto the internet. Then whatever you hear at home goes through your own DAC, which may colour what you hear. And there's YouTube's audio processing, of course, but I've linked WAV files in the description, so you can bypass that. I'd say, though, that if there are any differences in the examples I'm going to play that really make a difference, they should be able to cut through all of this. If they don't, do these differences really matter? I'd love to know what commenters think of that. Anyway, let's just treat this as a bit of fun, on the grounds that this video is about audio equipment, and surely we should hear some audio. What you're going to hear is this. 2 clips, 39 seconds each, one after the other, both in NOS mode. Before burn-in, then after burn-in. Then the 2 clips repeated. The captions will tell you what you're listening to. So, did you get anything from that? If not, then try the Wave downloads. I thought it was fun. I don't often comment on remotes because many of them seem to come from the same cheap plastic remote factory somewhere in the land of the giant panda. However, when I see quality, I like it. I like it more for a really quite an odd reason, which is those buttons and LEDs on the front panel. You can swap channels in DSD, invert the phase, NOS or OS, and fast or slow filtering in OS mode. You'll need the manual to work out how to do these things. And you won't remember, so you'll need the manual again. On the remote, buttons! Just press a button for what you want. I should comment maybe that I said quality. And yes, this is a substantial metal remote. I wouldn't advise ever putting it on top of the Pegasus 3 though. The screw heads on the bottom will almost certainly give you scratches that you'll regret. Would I buy the Musician Pegasus 3? No, I can't afford it. That's the simple answer. But if I had nearly 900 great British squid to spare, I mean really to spare, then I see no reason not to. Maybe add a bit to the budget for some stronger glasses, so I can see what I'm doing. As always, I was sent this item, but other than that and any affiliate links, there's no payment or influence involved. So I can say what I like, and I've said it. See you soon.